Teachers, please pardon this interruption. Just a reminder that today is the deadline to register for ACT without paying a late fee. So if you need to pick up an ACT waiver, be sure to stop by Guidance during your lunch shift. Also, if you were not able to attend scheduling night this week, we're going to have a makeup night that is going to be Thursday, March 6th at 6 p.m. in the auditorium. So if you were not able to make scheduling night this week, makeup night will be Thursday, March 6th, 6 p.m. auditorium. Be sure to register for the April ACT as well. Thank you.
All right. Are you with me?
Very good.
All right. I hope you finished your bell ringer. Let's talk just a little bit, real quick. Tell me what you know about the 1920s. Oh, there you go. Yes.
Lots of parties.
Lots of parties.
There were a period of economic prosperity after World War I.
You're exactly right. Y'all did good. Y'all did real good. This is something I found that was really interesting. The inventions during that time period, I thought were really neat. And they're things that they did for fun. This kind of gives you an overlook or an idea of what the setting's going to be about for the book, the things that went on during that time. The things that were invented in the 1920s. Vacuum cleaner, television, refrigerator, washing machine, and electric toaster. For entertainment, they did crossword puzzles, cheeseburgers were invented, roller coasters, they had traffic lights, penicillin. How did you live without penicillin? But evidently we made it this far, so penicillin, and then Band-Aids were the new thing, which I thought was kind of cool. Everything else y'all pretty much hit. People began to move to the cities, the rural areas, and farming and all that kind of thing. They started moving to the cities to do jobs that were there. Shelby told us, the economy was booming. They had, there was one thing that was bad, and that was that alcohol was prohibited. And alcohol being prohibited was not necessarily bad, but it caused them to go underground. And so they were doing things that were illegal back and forth with that. But Ali said the one thing that got my attention the most, which was jazz came to life. Derek, do y'all know where jazz started? Huh? New Orleans is where jazz came from. And here's something cool, and I think y'all know. Jazz came to life during the 20s, but before that, before the turn of the century, blues was big. And I don't know how much blues you know. I like blues. That's one of my favorite things is playing the blues. But I want you to hear it because blues has, for one thing, a lot of guitar, a lot of bass. Now back then, they probably didn't have electric bass, but you know, the tall stand-up things that you play, they had those. Has a lot of bass in that. But here's the thing you need to know about blues. It was very mournful, it was sad. And even if the tempo was upbeat, the message was still sad. One thing that they enjoyed doing, which I think is kind of funny, is they do things like, if they made the tempo go faster, so it was a really fast, upbeat song, but the message was sad, it was usually what they were trying to do was humor. And so the way they expressed humor would be like, gosh, my baby left me, she went off with you, and now here I sit with a hole in my shoe. I mean, it's supposed to be funny, because people would look back at their life and they could laugh once they got through the hard times. And so that's what blues is about. It's an expression of going through hard times and being able to look back and even to laugh was blues. Jazz combines all the blues, and then in the late 30s, the 30s and the late 20s, they had swing music. You know what swing bands are? Have you ever heard of such? Because I'm going to show you so you'll have a clue. Those two things combined together is jazz. It has a lot of brass, so it's going to have French horns and trumpets. And think about this, I don't know if you've ever been to New Orleans, but if you think about New Orleans and you think about a parade, whether it's Mardi Gras or whatever it is, when they had a parade, they were always happy and singing and dancing, and they'd have maybe a banjo, they would have a French horn, a trumpet, trombone, lots of brass, okay? So here's what, I want you to see if you like this. This is blues, this is one of my favorite blues. Can y'all hear that good? See that pronounced bass tones in there? Now, the name of this song is I'd Rather Go Blind Than to See You With Her. Now, y'all, that's funny. I thought it was funny. But anyway, that's blues, okay? You heard it? You're one of my favorite people. If you don't do this, it's not good. It's good when it's like that. Okay. Here's one. And there's extra points for the person, or a prize for the person who knows what cartoon this came off of. This is swing music. Swing takes out the bass, and it has a lot of horns. Here's swing. You know what cartoon? It's an old cartoon. Nemo. The name of it's Beyond the Sea. It came on when the show went off. But anyway, that's just a real polished form of jazz. I'm sorry, swing, but it sounds like, here's what the jazz that I want you to hear. This is New Orleans jazz. Tell me if you've heard this before. That's familiar, isn't it? One thing about New Orleans jazz is it's a little bit, see if you understand what I mean when I say that, it's a little raw. It's not like that swing music that was real polished and sounded like something you might expect Gatsby to have at a party of his, but that's what it is. Okay, for our first activity, here's what I want you to do. I want you to turn to one another, and we're going to talk about perceptions. Does anybody know? Don't say out loud just yet, but perception. I need you to look at the term. If you need to look up the definition, you look up the definition. But you come up with some examples of what perception is, because that's what our whole lesson today is going to be about. So when I say go, I'm going to give you 90 seconds to discuss perception among yourselves. Come up with a definition, maybe some examples. Do it at like a volume level 2, and you you got your Chromebooks or whatever you need to use is fine. Did y'all understand that completely? So what are we gonna do, Michelle?
We are going to discuss what possession is the last thing that we discuss about parts of my guys' stuff, buying one, so we need.
Oh, you got the whole, yeah. How long you got to do it, Adam? 90 seconds, good deal. All right. So ready and go. All right, if you hear me about twice. Very good, very good. All right, tell me what y'all got. Who's got something good? Shelby, you got a good definition of perception?
Yes, so it's like the way you view or understand something or someone.
That's it. That's it. Did you hear what she said? It's the way that you view someone or something. Have you ever heard the term perception is reality? Heard that term? Here's a easier way to think about that. Have you ever heard the term, or heard somebody say, they're just talking about two young people, and they say, that's just puppy love. And someone says, yeah, but it's real to the puppy. It's real love to the puppy. That's the same thing as what she'll be saying, is that what a person thinks and feels, or the mental impression that they might get of you, is what they believe to be true about you. It may not be true, but it's what they think about you. Because their perception has become their reality. I'm gonna give you another example. Now this didn't happen to me, but it could very easily happen to me. But let's say I bought a brand new dress, and it had been hanging in my bedroom, and I decided to put it on, and my husband's out there and he's reading the paper. And his name is Ron, and I go out all dressed up, and I do like we sometimes do, and I give it a little twirl, thinking I'm gonna be impressing him. And I say, how'd you like my dress? And he says, I like it. I'm mad. Because do you believe me if I look at you? If you're over here twirling and I say, I like that. You didn't pay attention to me. You didn't look at my dress. And so immediately my perception of him is that he didn't care. He didn't give me the time of day. And so we have a little argument about it. I said, well, you didn't even look at it. He said, I know, but I saw it hanging in the bedroom. I knew I liked it long before now. Okay. But it's very important in your perceptions that you relate to someone exactly what you're meaning, exactly what you're thinking. For example, we'll do this one. Let's say, because if perception is reality, that's a big deal. So let's say you have two people, and they're talking to one another. And there is a filter between both of them, just like this. Now the things that are in your filter are the things that make up who you are. Things that are in your past, things that you've experienced in life. For example, all right, so we put here, and this is past. Maybe this person went through tragedy. The way that you were raised or reared, where your parents brought you up. What else could be in there that's a part of your past? Say again. No? Okay. Your friends, experiences that you've had?
Culture.
Yes, very good. Culture's a good one. Because that changes, you can put that in there a couple times, because. Now, when this person speaks to this person, look what happens. It has to go through all of these things. So what this person means, they say to this person. And this person gets an idea. But it's based on everything that they hear through all of the stuff that they have in their life. So you can see how one person may get upset, like I did, and say, you said so-and-so. And this person says, but that's not what I meant. And then this person says, but that's what you said. And they say, well, that's not what I meant. And then they have to redo and paraphrase. So we have to realize that all the things that we have gone through in our lives keep us from understanding sometimes this person. Or let's say this person is a different culture. They've come from another country. They've come over to visit. Well, a lot of things mean different things. For example, some countries, when you go over to visit and you're having a meal with them, if you don't put your fork and knife down on your plate, it means you're not done. And so they keep coming and saying, can I get you something? No, I'm fine. But their fork and knife is not where it's supposed to be. And they kept coming and they were like, I'm fine. They didn't understand because the cultures were different. So think about the culture of Gatsby and what he's in. We're going to watch a video. And I really do enjoy this video. But it's what reality are you creating? And it won't take us but a few minutes, but I want you to pay close attention to what you think the claim might be that Isaac, this guy's about to talk about. What is his claim? What is he trying to get you to understand? And then he's going to say some things and tell you some things that might interfere or influence your perceptions. Now, if perceptions has everything to do with what we've talked about, it's important. So make sure you try to figure out what would be some pitfalls or things that might influence your perception.
Dorothy was a little girl. She was fascinated by her goldfish. Her father explained to her that fish swim by quickly wagging their tails to propel themselves through the water. Without hesitation, little Dorothy responded, "Yes, Daddy, and fish swim backwards by wagging their heads." In her mind, it was a fact as true as any other. Fish swim backwards by wagging their heads. She believed it. Our lives are full of fish swimming backwards. We make assumptions and faulty leaps of logic. We harbor bias. We know that we are right and they are wrong. We fear the worst. We strive for unattainable perfection. We tell ourselves what we can and cannot do. In our minds, fish swim by in reverse, frantically wagging their heads, and we don't even notice them. I'm going to tell you 5 facts about myself. One fact is not true. 1, I graduated from Harvard at 19 with an honors degree in mathematics. 2, I currently run a construction company in Orlando. 3, I starred on a television sitcom. 4, I lost my sight to a rare genetic eye disease. 5, I served as a law clerk to 2 U.S. Supreme Court justices. Which fact's not true?
There's a taser in the house. There are 5 names on that. Your wife's one of them.
What's on the menu?
I have a game. One thing's a liar. I want to know.
Justices. Which fact's not true? Actually, they're all true. Yeah, they're all true. At this point, most people really only care about the television show. I know this from experience. Okay, so the show was NBC's Saved by the Bell, the new class. And I played Weasel Wiesel, who was the sort of dorky, nerdy character on the show, which made it a very major acting challenge for me as a 13-year-old boy. Now, did you struggle with number 4, my blindness? Why is that? We make assumptions about so-called disabilities. As a blind man, I confront others' incorrect assumptions about my abilities every day. My point today is not about my blindness, however. It's about my vision. Going blind taught me to live my life eyes wide open. It taught me to spot those backward swimming fish that our minds created. Going blind cast them into focus. What does it feel like to see? It's immediate and passive. You open your eyes and there's the world. Seeing is believing, sight is truth, right? Well, that's what I thought. Then, from age 12 to 25, my retinas progressively deteriorated. My sight became an increasingly bizarre carnival funhouse hall of mirrors and illusions. The salesperson I was relieved to spot in a store was really a mannequin. Reaching down to wash my hands, I suddenly saw it was a urinal I was touching, not a sink, but my fingers felt its true shape. A friend described the photograph in my hand, and only then I could see the image depicted. Objects appeared, morphed, and disappeared in my reality. It was difficult and exhausting to see. I pieced together fragmented, transitory images, consciously analyzed the clues, searched for some logic in my crumbling kaleidoscope, until I saw nothing at all. I learned that what we see is not universal truth. It is not objective reality. What we see is a unique, personal, virtual reality that is masterfully constructed by our brain. Let me explain with a bit of amateur neuroscience. Your visual cortex takes up about 30% of your brain. That's compared to approximately 8% for touch and 2 to 3% for hearing. Every second, your eyes can send your visual cortex as many as 2 billion pieces of information. The rest of your body can send your brain only an additional billion. So sight is 1/3 of your brain by volume and can claim about 2/3 of your brain's processing resources. It's no surprise then that the illusion of sight is so compelling. But make no mistake about it, sight is an illusion. Here's where it gets interesting. To create the experience of sight, your brain references your conceptual understanding of the world, other knowledge, your memories, opinions, emotions, mental attention, all of these things, and far more, are linked in your brain to your sight. These linkages work both ways and usually occur subconsciously. So, for example, what you see impacts how you feel, and the way you feel can literally change what you see. Numerous studies demonstrate this. If you are asked to estimate the walking speed of a man in a video, for example, your answer will be different if you're told to think about cheetahs or turtles. A hill appears steeper if you've just exercised, and a landmark appears farther away if you're wearing a heavy backpack. We have arrived at a fundamental contradiction. What you see is a complex mental construction of your own making, but you experience it passively as a direct representation of the world around you. You create your own reality and you believe it. I believed mine until it broke apart. The deterioration of my eyes shattered the illusion. You see, sight is just one way we shape our reality. We create our own realities in many other ways. Let's take fear as just one example. Your fears distort your reality. Under the warped logic of fear, anything is better than the uncertain. Fear fills the void at all costs, passing off what you dread for what you know, offering up the worst in place of the ambiguous, substituting assumption for reason. Psychologists have a great term for it, awfulizing. Right? Fear replaces the unknown with the awful. Now, fear is self-realizing. When you face the greatest need to look outside yourself and think critically, fear beats a retreat deep inside your mind, shrinking and distorting your view, drowning your capacity for critical thought with a flood of disruptive emotions. When you face a compelling opportunity to take action, fear lulls you into inaction, enticing you to passively watch its prophecies fulfill themselves.
I started running my home garage because the workwear industry wasn't working for my buddies in the trades. These guys deserve a brain that listens to their needs. Every week.
When I was diagnosed with my blinding disease, I knew blindness would ruin my life. Blindness was a death sentence for my independence. It was the end of achievement for me. Blindness meant I would live an unremarkable life, small and sad, and likely alone. I knew it. This was a fiction born of my fears, but I believed it. It was a lie, but it was my reality, just like those backward swimming fish in little Dorothy's mind. If I had not confronted the reality of my fear, I would have lived it. I am certain of that. So, how do you live your life eyes wide open? It is a learned discipline. It can be taught. It can be practiced. I'll summarize very briefly. Hold yourself accountable for every moment, every thought, every detail. See beyond your fears, recognize your assumptions, harness your internal strength, silence your internal critic, correct your misconceptions about luck and about success, accept your strengths and your weaknesses and understand the difference. Open your hearts to your bountiful blessings. Your fears, your critics, your heroes, your villains, they are your excuses, rationalizations, shortcuts, justifications, your surrender. They are fictions you perceive as reality. Choose to see through them. Choose to let them go. You are the creator of your reality. With that empowerment comes complete responsibility. I chose to step out of fear's tunnel into terrain uncharted and undefined. I chose to build there a blessed life. Far from alone, I share my beautiful life with Dorothy, my beautiful wife, with our triplets, whom we call the Tripskis, and with the latest addition of the family, sweet baby Clementine. What do you fear? What lies do you tell yourself? How do you embellish your truth and write your own fictions? What reality are you creating for yourself? In your career and personal life, in your relationships, and in your heart and soul, your backward swimming fish do you great harm. They exact a toll in missed opportunities and unrealized potential, and they engender insecurity and distrust where you seek fulfillment and connection. I urge you to search them out. Helen Keller said that the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. For me, going blind was a profound blessing because blindness gave me vision. I hope you can see what I see. Thank you.
What did y'all think about what he said, that you could have sight but no vision? What do you think that means?
Like, you can, like the way that you perceive things can, like, I guess, like, even if you can't, like, actually see, like, you can see. Like, even if you can, like, actually see, like, I guess, like, having a clear headspace and thinking about the way things truly are.
Now you got it. Now you got it. You actually have sight, you can see with your eyes, but you have no vision in your heart or in your mind. That's what he's trying to say. And that type of person is just blah. For example, did you think when he came out and you saw him, I had no idea that man was blind. His mannerisms did not portray that in any way. I mean, he didn't have a blank stare at anything. He looked around. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. Okay, so what I want you to do is take 5 minutes, and you're gonna do another turn and talk. And so for 5 minutes, you're gonna pull out your sheet that's in your folders, and they're called video questions, and you're gonna answer the video questions, and we're gonna talk about them. Let's do that at volume level 2, and we can, we'll talk about it when you're through, and I'll give you 5 minutes to do it. How long do you have to do it, Alicia? 5 minutes. And what volume level? 2. Good deal. got that right. If you're good to go, clap twice. All right, Sean, what do you know about the speaker?
I played how he would like to go on a TV show and he has breakthroughs.
Very good, very good. Shelby, what was the subject of his entire presentation?
The concept of perception and how that correlates with things.
That's it, you're doing good. All right, what was his disability, Allie? He was blind. I still can't get over that being blind. I never dreamed that when he came out. And that's, you know, usually you walk them out to the stage and they stand on a spot and they know where they are, and he just handled himself totally different. This one's not as easy. Who can answer this one? How is the disability that he had related to the subject?
Vision plays a role in how humans perceive information, and seeing that the man is blind is different.
It had to be difficult. You know, I've heard of people before who, kind of like he did, they realize or they get a diagnosis that they're going to lose their sight. And so they start preparing and planning, what kind of job can I do where I can, you know, support my family and still be able to, make money, all that kind of stuff, and have a job, but be blind as well. But this man was different. Cause you think what he did, he had a vision first. Now, who could be a boss and blind? That to me got me. He could be a boss and he could be blind. He owned several companies, a construction company. And he's a motivational speaker. He was all of those things. So he didn't look at what his problems were. He looked at what he wanted to accomplish. He had the vision in his mind first. Here's the thing that we need to understand. It's kind of like what Shelby was saying a while ago. We see with our eye, we also see with our mind. If I were to explain something to you or read you a story or a book, you know, The Great Gatsby for one, if I read you a piece of it and I told you about how they were at parties and how they danced and the smell in the air, don't you immediately have something in your mind about what you think you're seeing, what's going on? So you see with your mind as well as your eyes. According to the speaker, what determines our reality?
Our abilities to truth rather than misperceptions.
Exactly. How? Yeah, you worded that very well. Our reality is determined by the vision that we have of ourselves, of other people. He mentioned some of that, and I don't know if you caught it or not, but we'll talk about it. And then I want you to do something else, and then we're gonna wrap up. Did you catch on to the 4 factors he had that would influence perceptions? Cool. Does anybody know one of them? One of the first things he said was fear. Fear. Let me ask you this. What are you afraid of in life? What is your fear? Anything ever seen? Mine is failure.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, I don't wanna fail, you know, I just, you know, that's a big thing. Here's the deal, I'll give you an example of this one. There's a lot of things in life I don't try, because I think I can't be good at it, I don't wanna attempt it and fail. And so, and then he also mentioned another one. His other one was trying to be perfect. And I don't know if y'all struggle with that or not, but when I was your age and I was at this school, I loved sports. I played basketball, played softball. I didn't play softball here, I played basketball here. But I loved racquetball. I like racquetball because when you miss the ball, it comes back to you, not like tennis. So I love sports and stuff, but there was one sport I was not really good at. And that was bowling. I couldn't bowl with a nickel. And I didn't participate in bowling because I didn't think, you know, why participate if you can't at least compete? And can you imagine all the things in life you would miss if you decided not to try it, if you couldn't be perfect with it? Another thing he mentioned was bias. That's the feelings or the thought that you have about people in general. You know, if you see someone who is extremely overweight walking down, you know, you're gonna immediately have thoughts of that person. You know, you're gonna think, well, maybe they're lazy, maybe they're, you know, all those things go into play into how you perceive. And here's a good one. Pay attention to this one. Telling ourselves that we can't do something. How many times have you said, well, I can't do that? I can't do that. Who told you that? Who did? Yourself. Yourself told you that you can't do something. And so, if you're thinking about Isaac in our video, what if he had told himself, I'm blind and I can't? I'm blind and I'm afraid. I'm blind and I can't be perfect. But he didn't. He saw what he felt like he needed to do and he set out to get that and was very successful. And sometimes we allow the factors that we were just talking about that are in our minds to live there unrestrained. You ever heard that? Unrestrained and rent-free? Someone's taking, you know, you talk about somebody who's got rent-free of your mind, in other words, you're constantly thinking about them, they don't have a clue that you do. So a lot of times we're our greatest enemy. But here's the deal. If you can harness your thoughts to the point that you're in control of them, then you're actually creating your own reality. So, I'd like you to work alone on this one. So for the next, I'll give you 5 minutes on this one, because it's important. 5 minutes, I want you to look and determine what reality are you creating for yourself? What are the things that you're doing in life that you know that you want to do? How are you preparing to get there? Do you talk bad to yourself, or do you speak words of positivity and encouragement? So you're gonna take 5 minutes, you're gonna answer the question, what reality am I creating for myself? And I guess go, that'll be all you got to do. Y'all got some ideas? Can anybody share any, just one? Something that you're doing to create your own reality?
I said happy and stay positive.
Yes? Right, very good, very good. You got one, Michelle?
That's striving to succeed.
Yes. What's yours, Michelle? What do you know what you wanna do when you grow up? What? I thought that's what you said. I thought that's what you said a long time ago. That's why I was gonna say, so you can say, you know, you don't get to do it so much now, but there's a lot of things that you can do to start preparing for that. You know, the classes that you take, things like that. So you're creating your own reality. Really good. Very, very good. Okay. Here's what's important at the end of this we need to talk about. Knowing what perception is and how you gather your perceptions, how they relate, how important they are. We want to talk about the parallel to the Great Gatsby. So what is your perception of Gatsby? What do you think about him? Some facts about him? Well, give me a fact about Gatsby that you think about him. All they cared about was Daisy. So he had a one-track mind. Okay. You got one? He was a sad, yeah. He was sad. He definitely was not creating his reality when it came to his, well, I take that back. When it came to Daisy, he tried to create it, didn't he?
A lot of his perception was very good, influenced by the situation.
Very good. That was a good one. Very good. I perceived that he was very wealthy, because we know he was wealthy. And then I think of all those little general terms that go along with being wealthy. And not necessarily everybody that's wealthy has, snobby and all the things that you think, but you have to kind of harness those thoughts to understand how that person really is and not let the general idea of what you think taint or cloud those true perceptions. Okay. I'm going to give you some time. You got just a little bit of time here for the end of class, but this is what we need to do for your exit ticket. Between now and the end of class, what I need you to do is take out the exit ticket form that's in your folder. Make sure you put your name on it. I want to know this. According to the speaker, what are the factors that can influence our perceptions? See if you remember those. You got between now and the end of class. When you get finished, make sure you straighten up your area. If you would put your paper face down on the table, that would be great. That would be great. So, Allie, where are you going to put your paper? How long do you have to work? Down to the buildings, all right? Yeah, which you don't use, you just back in the folder. Mm-hmm. Y'all have a good weekend. Be sweet.
Have a good day.
All right, you too. See y'all.